Welcome aboard. Air travel is just a wonderful experience for all of us. Sometimes stressful, but it's all worth it when you finally have the touch of the most beautiful places you always dreamed of. But did you know there are a few little known mind-blowing facts about all things while flying? Here are some of the craziest flight secrets that are never told to passengers. Let's start with prepare for boarding. Boarding is one of the most stressful parts of airplane travel. We've all been there. You've been through airport security. You finally get to the gate only to see a huge line of passengers waiting to board your flight. What most people don't realize is that there's not really much point to rushing to join the queue, as the majority of airlines pre-assign specific seats to passengers. And while some airlines like to call passengers in groups for boarding, you don't necessarily have to adhere to this rule. Boarding last is the easiest way to minimize the amount of time you spend holding up on board. So I'm assuming your hand luggage isn't overly large and hard to fit in overhead storage. There's no really any point in standing, waiting in a line, and waiting for a seat. It's already got your name on it. By boarding towards the end, there are also fewer people clogging up the gate area and jet bridges, speeding the process up overall. While you wait, why not take a glance at your boarding pass? The 6-digit alphanumeric code that appears on most boarding passes is called a passenger name record, which is used to identify individual passengers just in case there's more than one passenger with the same name. This code, which is recorded in the database of computer reservation systems that contain flight itineraries for each passenger, can reveal a lot about you, including your date of birth and contact details. This is one of the main reasons you should never throw your boarding pass away in a public trash can. Among other things, the database this code corresponds to holds credit card information, passport details, as well as IP addresses if booked online. But if a code connected to all your personal information seems scary, hopefully you'll never find this next code on your boarding. Passengers who find the 4S's code on their ticket may find themselves going through additional security checks. Why? Well, short for secondary security screening selection. This code is added to boarding passes of passengers who airlines deem suspicious. As we all know, airports take security very seriously, and some things that might look totally innocent to us are seen as suspicious by airline officials. Last-minute flyers, one-way fares, or buying tickets using cash can all look a little suspicious to the guys at the airport security desk. So try not to panic if you see that code on your boarding pass, that is if you don't have anything to hide. Next up, striking solutions. Airplanes are pretty hefty pieces of machinery. It's crazy to think that an average-sized commercial aircraft has a maximum takeoff weight of about 175,000 pounds, which includes 90,000 pounds of fuel as well as 45,000 pounds worth of passengers, crew, and cargo. Despite their size, airplanes still run into some problems in the air, often due to the other stuff that tends to dwell up there in the sky. It goes without saying that collisions between planes and birds don't often end well, for the bird that is, but they can still do some damage to an airplane when hitting it at speed. As you can see here with this Turkish Airlines plane that collided with a bird in 2015, luckily the passengers were all fine, but the bird, not so much. There are over 13,000 airplane bird strikes annually in the US, sometimes severe enough to take out plane engines. And as you can imagine, walls and fences aren't very effective in keeping birds away from aircraft runways. So, airports have to get creative to prevent bird-related accidents. One such method used at Virginia's Reagan National Airport is firing blanks out of cannons to scare feathery friends away from the airports, while other airports make their environment less bird-friendly by filling in ponds and replacing grass with gravel. Salt Lake City's airport meanwhile reduces its winged trespasser problem by using pigs to root around and eat gull eggs. But it's not just birds that airports have to worry about. Extreme weather isn't really something that can be scared off with a pig or a loud blank cannon. Hailstorms are one of the most dangerous weather conditions for an airplane, and they can cause some pretty crazy damage. This jet's nose cone took a real battering from hailstones that were as big as golf balls after flying through a hailstorm. The windows were so shattered that the pilots had to land the plane almost completely blind. Miraculously, no one was hurt, aside from the airline's wallet who had to pay for repairs. Hailstorms are one thing, but some nervous flyers also worry about the possibility of lightning striking an airplane. While that might seem highly unlikely, it's actually estimated that each airplane in the US commercial fleet is struck lightly by lightning at least once per year. While that may seem terrifying, it's actually not as dangerous as you'd think. Before an aircraft goes into service, it undergoes lightning strike simulations that test its conductivity. This ensures lightning can travel uninterrupted across the plane's exterior shell and back off into the sky through an extremity like the nose or a wingtip, leaving those inside totally unharmed. Next, Dump drop. Have you ever used an airplane bathroom and wondered where exactly you're flushing your waste away to? Well, contrary to popular myth, plane toilets aren't allowed to be emptied into the sky. But of course accidents do happen when you flush an airplane toilet. A strong suction pulls the waste away using only a very small amount of water. As a means to save weight and space on the aircraft, the contents travel to a large disinfectant-filled holding tank at the end of a flight. The mixture is sucked into a tanker at the airport and then dumped. However, the frozen chunk of pulverized Smurf you see here is made up of that delightful cocktail of human waste and blue liquid disinfectant, and was found at ground level having fallen from a plane in 2017. There were at least 27 documented incidents of blue ice meteors of this kind in the United States between 1979 and 2003, including incidents of blue ice falling through rooftops under airport landing paths. While there is no mechanism that would allow pilots or flight attendants to perform any kind of blue poopy pranks intentionally, leaks sometimes do occur from the plane's septic tank, so if you ever find a big chunk of blue ice in your backyard, trust me, it's not a blueberry popsicle. Don't give it a lick. But while we're on the topic of mile-high restrooms, I'll bet you didn't know that there's actually a secret way to unlock an airplane toilet from the outside. Most cabin bathrooms' exterior locks are tucked behind a metal lavatory sign, just like this one for flight attendants to use in the event of an emergency. To open it, just lift the laboratory sign, slide the knob into the unlocked. Up next, food for thought. Everyone knows that the food on airplanes is notoriously awful, but have you ever stopped to wonder why? In-flight meals are typically made on the ground by industrial catering facilities close to the airport and are usually prepared between 12 and 72 hours before an intended flight. Contrary to popular belief, most airplane meals are not frozen, instead being blast chilled and transported to the aircraft for flight attendants to heat and serve on board. Some luxury airlines even have their own in-flight chefs and kitchens. All this, and yet food in the air will never quite match up to the five-star restaurants on the ground. So what really makes airplane food taste so bad? Turns out it actually comes down to basic human biology. Airplane cabins have humidity levels as low as 10% while in the air, which is shockingly even drier than the Sahara Desert. When humidity levels are at rock bottom like this, our sinuses get so dehydrated that it affects our ability to taste and smell. After a bit of time in an airplane cabin, your tongue's ability to taste sweet flavors drops between 15 and 20%, while salty flavors are dulled by as much as 20 to 30%. In an attempt to counteract this, some airlines drastically increase the amount of salt and sugar in their food, so you're probably consuming a lot more calories from that in-flight meal than you think. If tasteless in-flight meals are getting you down, there is actually something you can do about it. Turns out that donning a pair of noise-canceling headphones is just the ticket to making food and drink taste better in the air. Strangely, studies have found that loud background noise can actually dampen our ability to taste food. So using noise-canceling headphones to drown out the low-pitched drone of the airplane's engine can help our senses come back down to earth. But it's not only passengers that have issues to chew over when it comes to the food served in the sky. There's some very specific rules as to what pilots can and can't eat while on the job. And for good reason. Pilots and co-pilots are warned against eating the same meals while working as a preventative measure against mutual food poisoning. If something is badly wrong with one pilot's meal making them sick, the other pilot can take over. However, there's a pecking order to pilot food. In some airlines, the pilot will receive a meal from the first class menu, whereas the co-pilot will receive something from business class. That's it for the part 1 of Amazing Flight Secrets that you are never told about. Can you guess the remaining amazing flight secrets? Let us know in the comments. Stay tuned for part 2 of Amazing Flight Secrets that you are never told about, and let's see if your guess is right. And if you like this video, you will surely love to watch this another amazing video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. Thanks for watching.